everyone. Good morning. Happy Sunday. Welcome to Code. We are excited to be with you, excited to be sharing this Sunday morning with you, and excited for being in practice together with you. Every month, the last Sunday of the month, we gather together and join in community of practice for those who are interested in amplifying their embodied sense of their divine nature. For those who aren't aware, the Temple of Wholeness is a 501c3 charitable organization designed for the amplification and upliftment of all that is good within humanity and nature and reconnecting us to our naturalness as spirit. So, the arc and flow of today is going to start with an attunement by Amber. I'll go into a brief teaching section and then we'll do a practice together, end with a prayer, and send you on your way. So excited to have you with us and hand this over to you, Amber, for prayer or attunement.
Thank you, Matt. Always a pleasure to be with you all. So we'll begin, as we always do, by closing our eyes. And as we close our eyes, we're simply allowing the focus of our attention to shift from all that is external into our interior. So as we close our eyes, we begin to draw our attention inwards. And we begin by deepening the breath. And as we inhale, beginning to visualize that you are drawing in these photons of light to consolidate into the core of the body. And as we exhale, we allow the relaxation response to begin to cascade down through the body, feeling with each out breath that we can arrive into the here and now, into the position that we are seated in, ever more fully. And with each inhale, we potentize ever more these photons of light, gathering the vitality that we require in this moment to continue forward, to continue showing up in our fullness with our clarity. Now, adding with each exhale, as you relax in and down, begin to visualize the bottom half of the body like the base of a tree. Begin to envision it thickening and widening, becoming more substantial as it roots down into the earth. And at the bottom of the next inhale, I invite you to follow the energy downwards. So as you exhale and release even more fully down, following that breath and current of energy down through the roots. And follow those roots as they stretch down through the many layers of the earth, as they stretch outwards in all directions, forming this massive base beneath you. And with each out breath, reaching ever more downwards, becoming even more broad until you begin to experience the body here on the surface of the earth like the tip of an iceberg. And for these few moments, just connecting to the vastness of the root system beneath you. So substantial, so steady. Feeling as these roots reach down in all directions, that they reach into the pockets of the particular forms of nourishment that your system requires in this moment to find its sense of balance, to feel deeply nourished and centered. With each in-breath, you're breathing those nutrients up through these roots. And as you breathe them up, see them lighting up the roots. As the roots conduct this energy up into the body, drinking and drawing it up with each in-breath. And as it begins to rise up the body ever so slowly, as if it's saturating, to be certain that it penetrates into every single cell, that no parts are hiding or resisting receiving the nourishment that is flowing upwards from the earth to you now. So we actively receive with gratitude and stay so present to the sensation of the energy climbing up the body, rising just as sap rises up a tree. Drinking, drawing it up, allowing it to feel good as you allow yourself to receive. And in the receiving, finding how you can soften even a little bit more to become even more receptive. And allowing this nourishment to swirl and whirl its way through every tissue and sinew of the body, to soak deeply into every single organ, to flow fluidly through all of the circulatory systems of the body. Reaching all the way into the bones. And as they saturate through the bones, reaching that river of bone marrow that flows through the core of all bones. And as it continues traveling all the way up through the neck, into the head, pausing here at the center of the head. And as you hold your focus right into the center of your brain, into the corpus callosum, this hemisphere that connects the center that connects the two hemispheres. Begin to see this light up. See the two lobes lighting up, the left and the right. The back of the brain stem. And from the center of the brain, begin to invite it to flower open like a lotus. Allowing our mind to open itself in receptivity to higher mind, to the higher wisdom that is always flowing, always incoming. And it's simply up to us to attune to it, to open ourselves to it, to tune our receptors so that we may perceive it accurately. So just continue to allow this lotus to unfurl itself, petals flowering open, broadening in all directions. Now becoming aware of the downward flowing, imminent stream of golden source light, restorative love, flowing down, carrying with it the consciousness of the sun, Solaris, continuously emitting this light as the evolutionary impulse of life, encouraging us to continue to grow and evolve and become ever more congruent with who and what we are in truth, as a vessel for this truth in the world, the time when it needs it most. So as we tune to this current, we begin to receive downwards, drinking it in first through the crown and into the center of the head. Let it light up our thinking, our perception, allowing that energy to continue soaking its way downwards just as we received upwards from the earth. So moving slowly and deliberately in this active receiving and allowing the warmth of this light, the nourishment to reach into every cell, tuning you to the frequency of this golden evolutionary light. Relaxing all of the tissues as it makes its way down, allowing it to highlight anywhere that you may be holding tension unnecessarily. And as soon as you notice that, just giving permission to release into this current, returning what was stagnant back into circulation. Breathing it all the way down till we reach the pelvis. And now holding your focus here at the sacral center, in the center of the pelvis, the seat of your creativity, your creative power. So as we hold focus here, see this center also begin to flower open. Petals unfurling, opening you more deeply into your fundamental creative power. Allowing this source light to anchor here into the center, bringing warmth, vitality, inspiration. And visualizing here in the pelvis is a golden bowl. So as this center continues to flower open, the golden bowl also begins to fill with this light, energizing this entire region of your body. Now we're going to breathe a few cycles connecting these points. So from this sacral center in the center of the pelvis, begin to inhale, breathing upwards through the central channel. Follow the energy up, all the way up until it reaches the center of the head. And then we're going to suspend the breath for just a few moments while gently engaging the root lock, that gentle perineum to encourage energy to rise. And holding awareness here on this breath suspension. And as we exhale, let it fall down like a waterfall, back down the central channel, pouring back down into the pelvic bowl. And at the bottom of the exhale, suspending the breath once again, feeling this space opening here, feeling yourself anchoring even more deeply into the pelvic bowl, feeling it holding you, your awareness. And then once again, inhale, breathing upwards, drawing that energy up through the central channel, focusing it back into the center of the head, engaging that perineal contraction, suspending the breath, flowering even more fully here. And exhale, releasing again, follow that cascading waterfall of energy, of vitality, back down through the center of the body, filling again the pelvic bowl, and suspend to the bottom of this in-breath. Feeling like a glowing ocean here within this creative center. And one more cycle on this way. Inhale, breathing, drawing all of that delicious, nourishing, vital life force up through the center. Once again, allow that flowering upwards, outwards, broadening your awareness in all directions, making even more space to receive the wisdom, the knowing, and the inspiration that is yours to receive now. And one final exhale, cascading, flowing, gushing downwards. And one more suspension here, feeling the space you've created, the attunement in this practice, feeling yourself as this vessel of life, the biocrystalline circuitry lit up and conducting the energy as you're designed to, allowing yourself to be filled with fresh life and inspiration, tuning yourself to the frequency of truth. And just allowing the breath to return to what feels natural as you simply notice what you notice, what perhaps has shifted in these few moments of practice, both in your body, in your heart, in your mind, in your spirit. Noticing if all of these aspects feel more lined up and congruent, more available to receive in this moment. And we'll complete by bringing our awareness to rest into the sanctuary of our own heart. At this meeting point of above and below, the center of the center. And as we hold our focus here and simply breathe in and out of the center, we allow ourselves to invoke a feeling tone that we wish to amplify in this moment. So whatever tonal quality feels that it's most serving for you, whether that be joy, peace, love, appreciation, whatever it may be, beginning to invoke it. And as you breathe into it, allow it to be amplified, to become more vivid with each breath. And as you exhale, allow that frequency tone to expand through your heart in all directions, expanding into the field, rippling infinitely in all directions. And we offer this as a balm to the world in this moment, to amplify these qualities so that all hearts may feel more of this. May you remember what is fundamentally true about who we are and why we're here. And taking a moment to just bring our own hands to our own hearts and directing all of that right into our own center to allow ourselves to receive that deeply. Remembering that whatever it is that we wish to offer the world for healing, we must first offer ourselves so that we are congruent with that prayer, with that offering. So just taking these few moments to drink in and to appreciate yourself and your commitment and your courage. That in this moment when the world is pulling us into further and further distraction and division, the choice that we make to show up for our practice, to center ourselves, to connect with the divine, and to offer ourselves in service to that, to not underestimate the power and the potency and the absolute vital necessity in this moment when we are being pulled on from so many directions, to continue to choose this breath by breath, step by step. We release our hands, maintaining this internal position. We allow our eyes to gently open into the space. And with that, always a pleasure to hand it over to you, dear Matt.
Thank you. Thank you for getting us connected, getting us focused, getting us feeling ourselves into our own inner Uigui Buddha and Bodhisattva self. This next bit, if you would like to stay in that closed-eyed space, you're welcome to. I'm going to share a little bit of information that will set the stage for our practice. There is going to be a few slides, but they're not necessary. And if you prefer to stay in the listening, the most important thing is that you stay feeling and stay open and stay in your sensing. So, as we are examining truth today, I wanted to highlight a few things that make this especially necessary right now. If anyone has been paying attention to the world, you know that we are in two categories of things. The first is what's called a post-truth world, meaning there has been considerable effort made to break and obscure truth. That is a term that you'll find all over the media and all over academia. The second is that we have a broken information economy. So, this understanding of how we work with truth is more important now than it's been for hundreds of years. And I want to invite us into this now because the solace it creates for us in our relationships is really important and necessary. So, we're going to start with two categories of distinction here. The first is the difference between feeling and thinking, which I promise you is in short supply, people recognizing the difference between what they feel and what they think. And the second is my truth, the truth, and our truth. If we can get these two categories right, a lot can change really quickly. Let's break these down just a little bit. So, feeling when it comes to true is usually things we want to be true. Those are desires. Things I value, which are my opinion, and what should be true, which is our own moral code. These are all based on emotions and feeling in the body. Thinking will have what makes sense or logic, what has been true, which is tradition, and what will be true, which has to be enforced. Truth occurs in the person as a mix of emotion, thought, and embodied sensation. Our job is to become aware of as much of that as is possible. For the vast majority of people, they are not aware of their emotions and they're not aware of the embodied sensation. So those two things are going on chaotically inside of them and pushing all of this content up into the mind, and they assume everything that is occurring they are thinking. That is not the case. We must become intimately aware with what we're feeling, what we're feeling as emotion and as sensation. And when we can become aware of those, we don't get hijacked by the sensation and emotion, and we can be in conversation with our nervous system and aware of when we are having actual thought versus emotion that's expressing through language. So my truth occurs inside of me as a mixture of sensation, emotion, and thought. The truth is an objective fact and is verifiable. This wooden block is orange. That's an objective fact. Trees grow out of the dirt. That is an objective fact. If someone argues against objective fact, that person is not trustable to have an objective conversation with, and I'm going to move the conversation down to a different level. Our truth is the most important thing that we as a species need to work on. These are perspectives we can agree on, hold, and value together. All of the confusion about emotion, sensation, and thought, and all of the confusion about objectivity is eroding the truths that we can hold together. If we can't come to a truth together, we cannot have a collective. We cannot have a society. We cannot have community. And society and community and connection and family is the most important thing we can have together now. So when I want to find truth with someone, when we seek to find truth with someone, we want to find at what layer we can have truth. We can always, always, always get down to what we value. We value truth, freedom, safety, care, love, spirit, nature, family, fun, kindness. How does that layer show up in the next layer, which is interaction, which is we get to become curious. We seek to understand and find sameness first. So if we have a difference of what is being espoused at truth. We want to get down to the value. If someone says all purple cars should be able to drive on the left side of the road on Tuesdays, well, why do you believe that? Why is that important to you? Well, because it would be so fun. You know what? I love fun too. Let's find some things that are fun and let's focus on fun. Now, that's a connection that can be maintained. Doesn't mean we have to agree with them that purple cars should drive on the left side of the road on Tuesdays. And we may be able to get to work to dismantling that belief, but it needs to start from a connection, from a valuing of the same thing, which is fun. Now, this is a idea one of my professors in my PhD program has created that we need to be able to operate on three levels. When we are engaging with perspectives, we need to be able to seek perspectives. So, what do you value? What are you holding as true? How can I stand in your shoes and see the world through your eyes? How can I hold and value that perspective? And then how do I coordinate my and your perspective so I can find how we can connect? And then value that connection enough to maintain all available harmonies. So, with these thoughts, I'm going to invite you to close your eyes again. I'm going to invite you to find that deep well of richness, that deep well of energy of the golden stream and the golden ocean. I'm going to invite you to find that breath in the body and become aware of all of the emotions you are noticing in your body right now. I'm going to invite you to acknowledge the truth, should you find it as truth, that in any given moment we are feeling emotion, and that it is our job to get down to the level of awareness to be able to notice the emotion that is occurring. Can I notice, even if it's at a level 1, 2, 3, or 10 on a scale of 1 to 100, can I notice my emotion right now? Can I notice my sensation in my body right now? Can I notice the relationship between emotion and sensation? Can I notice when the emotion starts to speak more loudly and agitates more sensation in the body? So if we did a little practice of thinking of something that was a mild annoyance, we're using the mind to think and remember of something that created an emotion, and we let that emotion be true, can we notice the sensation it creates in the body? And we start to form a deeper fluency of the language of emotion and sensation. If we use our mind to remember a moment of joy, a moment of transcendent bliss and pleasure, can you allow that emotion to come back up in the body? Can we allow the memory to be alive in the here and now and feel that emotion again in the body and recognize what sensations that emotion creates? Now, we're going to stretch this skill set And I'm going to invite you to notice a time, to remember a time where a person said something that you didn't value, you didn't subjectively hold to be true. I'm going to invite you to notice what emotion that creates in the body and what bodily sensations that creates. This is emotion and sensation fluency. We are going to be responsible spiritual people. We need to be aware of our sensations and our emotions. And now, even though you're noticing these sensations and these emotions, can you seek to find what is common with this person? They made a statement that you did not agree with. I wonder what motivates that statement. If it was anger, that anger is motivated by fear. Fear is motivated by a desire to feel safe. If it was chaos, chaos is a desire for stimulation and a desire to feel energy. Even if what you perceive was motivated by hatred, there is an underlying value that you can see the value of. Can you get down to what is the same about you and this person right now? And recognize that even if they can't do this exercise with you, you can find a basis of value and you can be in love with the experience you are having with the basis of value of this person. No matter what this person is thinking or doing, they cannot take away your choice, should you make it, to love them and to love the basis of value of which you can experience with them. To be in love with a person, no matter what the external circumstance, is the secret of the Guru, is the secret of the laughing Buddha, is the secret of the ascended, the awakened, the enlightened ones. To be able to love no matter what, not despite, but because of this fundamental thing that connects us all. At the basis, the foundation of all actions is a motivation to experience a world in which these fundamental values are upheld: love, safety, sacredness, truth. The manifestations of how they appear in the outside world will be different. Our job as people on the spiritual path is to trace them back to their source and love the place inside of the other that values the same thing we value. As you feel yourself doing this, I'm going to invite you to feel this as a ripple along the spider web of interpersonal connection across your family, across your social group, across your community, across your society. There is a tie that binds, that brings us all together, that makes us one, that makes us the same. There is a connection, even if the Maya, even if the illusion, even if the outside world seems so committed to make us focus on the difference, there is a connection. Love is available, even if it's a secret, delicious love you keep to yourself, you enjoy for yourself. Love is available. No one can take away our choice to love anyone in this world. That choice is the seed from which peace, from which unity, from which awakening arises. Feel yourself connected at the level of value with all of humanity and love them, even though you can feel them thrashing through their unconscious emotions, which are creating sensations, which they interpret as thoughts. Be so connected to your compassion, your feeling of love for yourself, and the feeling of connected unity with us all. Let this truth be a truth that ripples through all of humanity. Let humanity wake up to the values that connect us. Let the truth of I desire to feel connected to you. Let the truth of we are better together. Let the truth of we deserve and desire to be connected as a family, as a global family. Let these truths ripple through the noosphere, the connected web of spirit and energy that surrounds the planet. Let it ripple through the connected web of hearts. Let it ripple through the collective nervous system. And allow yourself to delight in this sensation, where the division is illusion, a play of light cast on the screen of the seeming 3D world. But you have the felt embodied sense of the truth of connection. And we'll take just 30 seconds to broadcast this out to anyone who needs it, anyone who needs this peace that you are feeling now, and to the world at large. We'll do this in silence.
I would like to invite this to be our prayer for today.
May my own inner awakeness and wholeness be an invitation and an evocation for the awakeness and wholeness of all beings in all time and in all realms. May we remember what is truly true, what is so good, what is fundamentally beautiful. May we see in our life this truth blossom in the hearts and minds of all beings, be expressed into our world as peace and harmony. We'll close this out with 3 deep breaths, breathing in the truth, consecrating it with the state we've created in our body, and breathing it out into the world. Consecrated, concentrated, and active. And one last breath. When you're ready, you can open your eyes, take in the world around you. Amber, any connection, practice, invitation you'd like to make for us?
Well, that was beautiful. That's why offered that that would be our prayer for today to continue to emanate and ripple. And the invitation is to continue to emanate and ripple this out. So as we move out of this consecrated space that we've all created together and continue to feed into, let yourself be an emissary, a beacon, that as you move through all the spaces that you'll move through, to be aware of the rippling, aware of the quality of energy that you're both embodying and emanating and offering out into the world. And thank you all so very much for choosing to be awake within this time and to be of service. All of our love to you. Beautiful day, everybody.